This is Brent coming at you with another overhead squat assessment video. In this video, we're going to go over the sign knees bow in. So I'm going to have my friend Mike Tierney come out. Mike Tierney is going to demonstrate this dysfunction for us. Just a couple little things to watch out for. I think you guys kind of know what this sign is supposed to look like. I'm going to set him up so his second toe is pointing forward, feet underneath his hips. He's going to go ahead and throw his hands up. Perfect. And what you guys are watching for is, does his patella track over his second or third toe? Or does it start to bow in towards his big toe, or maybe even closer than that? Actually, Mike, let me have you do us a little favor here. Can you tuck these shorts into your compression shorts? It is helpful to be able to see somebody's kneecaps. You can have somebody roll up their pants if you have to. All right, so let's go ahead and go knees bow in. All right, and this is pretty typical. You can see Mike's knees starting to kind of track in this way, just medial to his big toe. All right, good. A sign that's a little less obvious, but I know you've all seen it before, maybe you've wondered what to do with it, is the wobbly knee thing, right? Can you show us that, Mike? This isn't his natural dysfunction, natural compensation pattern, so he's going to act for us a little bit. Good, and back up. That wobbling knee thing is usually knees bow in waiting to happen. So if you guys are cleaning up somebody's dysfunction, you happen to notice that, it might be worth throwing in some of those corrective techniques for knees bow in to try to solve that before it becomes, let's go ahead and go back to the first sign, knees bow in, before it becomes this. The only other thing I want you guys to watch out for is occasionally what ends up happening is the only time somebody's knees bow in, you can go ahead and go back up, the only time somebody's knees bow in is at the hardest part of the movement, which is that turnaround between eccentric and concentric. In other words, they bounce into adduction at the bottom. Can you show us what that looks like? Good. So you guys can see in that part of the dysfunction, if this is how they're going to show it, that you're going to have to watch all the way through their squat pattern. Don't just look at them going down and go, oh yeah, knees are fine, and then move on to the next sign. You need to watch the knees through an entire rep to ensure that you don't have knees wobble, the knees don't bow in on the eccentric phase. They also don't bow in that amortization phase of the turnaround from eccentric to concentric. Thank you, Mike. Now, breaking that down. Now we just have to figure out what joint actions are occurring, what joint actions correlate with knees bow in. And I know a lot of you guys have probably been taught adduction. And while adduction is not wrong, you're going to see the adductors come back up in our graph, there are a couple joint actions that correlate better. So if knees bow in, if we thought of it as my tibia are trying to turn out while my femurs are trying to bow in, right? So this bowing in and this bowing out is actually collapsing the knee inward. That has a much better correlation with what muscles are short and what muscles are long. So what I want you guys to memorize for now and start to try to think about is knees bow in equals tibial external rotation and femoral internal rotation. Now in the feet turn out video, you guys saw who the tibial external rotators are. So that's going to be TFL, VL, ITB complex we talked about a little bit. The biceps femoris short head, all right, so that short head does not actually cross the hip. So, and then lateral gastroc will also rotate my tibia outward. My femoral internal rotators, some of these muscles you guys are going to recognize because they're very nasty. They like to get really tight. They like to get really short, right? You have TFL, you have TFL's nasty cousin, the glute min, and then your anterior adductors. I know at some point every one of you has released or stretched one of those three muscles. Now on the flip side, we got to go back to our tibial internal rotators and our femoral external rotators. Now before I kind of talked to you guys when we did that feet turn out video, the tibial internal rotators are activated as a group. So we'll leave that tibial internal rotators, even though that's the semis and the gracilis and the popliteus. The medial gastroc is going to be activated with our post-tib. Now, I'm not saying that my post-tib crosses my knee and contributes to this dysfunction. What I am saying is the exercises that we use for post-tib would include medial gastroc activity, so we're going to use that as a little cheat. And then, of course, our femoral external rotators, guys, are the muscles that love to get underactive, but the muscles we love to work and try to hypertrophy and try to get strong, which, of course, is our glute complex, being the glute max and the glute med. I hope seeing the signs of dysfunction, noting some of the details in dysfunction, the breakdown, and the discussion of how we would create exercise from this graph helps you create more powerful corrective strategies, including rehab and performance enhancement. I look forward to hearing about your outcomes. Thank you.